We are here now with the Emmy Award-winning host of ABC's Tamron Hall. Tamron's debut novel, As the Wicked Watch, came out today and was just named one of USA Today's 5 books not to miss. The story is an engrossing new mystery about children of color who go missing and the reporter who will not rest until their cases are solved. Tamron, so good to have you here in person on set with us.
I am so thrilled to be here.
So give me a sense of wearing the two hats, because naturally you are a storyteller at heart, right? I mean, that's when you have your reporter hat on. How much of a departure is it when you actually put on the author hat?
You know, it's so different. As you know, we will spend 12 hours at a crime scene, particularly when I was a general assignment reporter, and that entire day would be consolidated to 1 minute and 15 seconds. And that was your opening, closing, and tightening up of the entire story. With this novel, it was very different from anything that I'd experienced in my 30 years of reporting. The structure of it, the storytelling, how I expected to take the reader into the world of Jordan Manning, the character that I created, inspired by my years as a reporter, but also inspired by reporters like yourself, women in newsrooms all around the country. So I was both the participant and the witness to this story and unfolding it all.
And yeah, you talk about being the participant in it. How much is there separation of church and state here, if you will, between Jordan Manning and Tamron Hall? Because really, you talk about this stylish reporter, right, who's out there in the field in the stilettos. I kind of was picturing that that's actually you in Chicago, where you also were a crime reporter, which you also are a crime reporter. So is Jordan a bit of Tamron, really?
I would say about half of it. I mean, I couldn't write this book from this perspective if I didn't have this firsthand experience. What is it like to be a Black woman in the newsroom and be one of two? I didn't have to research that. You know, we hear people write novels and they go in, they spend time at a facility to learn how that particular job is done. Well, this has been and is my particular job, and I was able to pull from that experience. But I'll tell you, at Jordan's age, she is a lot more bold, a lot more willing to speak up in rooms that I did not. I had the ability to, but the reality is no one wants to lose their job or be labeled when you speak up too much. I live in a real world where if a woman or a woman of color speaks up, you can be labeled as difficult and angry. Jordan lives in a world that is not as it's not real. It's a world that I've created for her, and I've allowed her to be able to speak up in ways that I did not, for fear of, honestly, consequences.
How much were you influenced by your own participation in mass media when that's often criticized, as you know, especially in recent years, for how the coverage is different when Black women go missing and white women go missing? Most recently, that was again re-emphasized one more time with the disappearance of Gabby Petito. I
could never have imagined this book would be out at this time at such a relevant point in the dialogue here, right? And when this is all inspired by two real cases that I covered in 1997. When I was leaving Dallas-Fort Worth, a young girl went missing, 11 years old. She was found killed. When I went to Chicago, one of the first stories I covered, an 11-year-old girl south side of Chicago found dead. And the difference in those cases, the difference in how they were spoken of. And for me, I don't want to have a teachable moment. I want to have a groundbreaking moment in this conversation, right? I want the next generation of journalists not to have the dialogue that we may have had behind the scenes of asking why. Why does this continue to happen when we all clearly see it? And we know that with Gabby Petito's family, for example, they shouldn't be put in a position where they have to explain why she is the lead. Any parent would want that, any parent. I would want the entire newscast here to be devoted to my son. God forbid something like that happen. But then you have Jelani Day's mother having to explain her pain and why he deserves to get that attention as well. The onus is on us to get it right, because in the middle are people who are collateral damage, and that's the families who want their loved ones found or the murder solved, just like my family. My sister's an unsolved murder. And the collateral damage, if we don't get it right, are the people who essentially just want our help.
And you mentioned your sister, unsolved murder after 17 years still. What kind of impact did that have as far as the narrative here that you wanted to write about?
I think it gave me perspective, and it gives me perspective when, even on my current show, my daytime talk show, when I talk to survivors of domestic violence, when I talk to family members who've lost loved ones, I don't allow myself to see this as a story. When I had the show Deadline Crime for 6 years, I had a folder which would, describe the case and the pictures of the person, and I would sit in my room the night before taping, and I would meditate and I would pray over that person, asking the universe, I don't want to contribute to the pain that this family is experiencing. This is a mother, this is a father, this is a sister, a friend, and I know I would have always had that sensibility because that's how I was raised, but it was amplified because of the loss of my sister.
And of course, this is just one of a series.
Yeah.
Where do you anticipate? Can you give us this little sneak peek of where this is going?
I'm 4 chapters in, and I said, wait, I got to slow down. Wait, I need to hear what Linsey has to say. I need to read her notes on the edges of the page that I see there. It's like, pump your brakes now. And so for me, I'm 4 chapters in, and I'll reveal that Jordan is now following the trail of the disappearance of a mom who happens to be white. And she now has to face that very question that reporters are asking right now. Is she able to connect with this woman who is white, who is a mom, the opposite of Jordan, who is single in a big city, in the same way that she connects with Macy James, who's disappeared? So we find her at this crossroad. We also find her, is she gonna get married at 48? And, what's going on in her personal life, and how do you juggle, like ourselves, when work is life and life is work, but you recognize at some point that work can't define you. Will that fast-moving career take a dive, and maybe she'll lose her job? I don't know.
I'm hooked already. I'd like to get an advance copy of that.
Definitely.
The Wicked Watch. It is now out. I think it's already a bestseller, right? If it's not just yet, it will become next week, right? New York Times bestseller list. Tamron Hall, thank you so much for stopping by. Really good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Linsey.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.